Maybe.
Wow. Hi, it's Ryan Reynolds, and I'm here in the North Pole to remind you the holidays are.
Question I often get asked about the Hexclad pans are, do they last? They look absolutely gorgeous, brand new. Personally, I have bought dozens of nonstick pans. That wears off. The durability of the Hexclad pan is unparalleled and also comes with a lifetime warranty. At the end of the day, do you get what you pay for? I think no. I think you get more than what you pay for. This is appropriately priced. But when you add in a lifetime warranty,
I'm making body keep on you. Baby me. So come close. Let me know so you can try me after so long. Cause all this was Sweet love. In your life. Oh. Oh my God. Baby, don't let go, don't let go.
Turn every moment into a memory at home. Create family traditions at home. Cozy up and slow down at home. Celebrate the holidays at home.
Hugo is car insurance that lets you pay at your own pace. Tired of big monthly payments? Hugo breaks up your insurance bill into small pieces to help you pay for coverage a little bit at a time. This means more money in your pocket to pay other bills or have a little fun. Get instant proof of insurance in under 6 minutes. No agents, no phone calls, no hassle. Drive insured today with Hugo.com.
Baby, don't let go. Don't let go. Singing your life. He kind of sounds like Luther Vandross. Anything you ask, anywhere in my grasp. You. Baby, down. You got nowhere less to drive. All of me is I dream of you. I will baby, 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 baby.
Seat. Senator's hat is jammed over his eyes and nose quite unceremoniously, and he considers himself fairly extinguished. Child cries, and Cudjoe on the outside delivers animated addresses to the horses, who are kicking and floundering and straining under repeated cracks of the whip. Carriage springs up with another bounce, down go the hind wheels. Senator, woman, and child fly over on the back seat, his elbows encountering her bonnet, and both her feet being jammed into his hat, which flies off in the concussion. After a few moments, the slough is past, and the horses stop, panting. The senator finds his hat, the woman straightens her bonnet and hushes her child, and they brace themselves for what is yet to come. For a while, only the continuous bump, bump, intermingled just by way of variety with divers side plunges and compound shakes, and they begin to flatter themselves that they are not so badly off after all. At last, with a square plunge, which puts all onto their feet and then down into their seats with incredible quickness, the carriage stops, and after much outside commotion, Cudjoe appears at the door. "Please, sir, it's a powerful bad spot this yar. I don't know how we's to get clear out. I'm thinking we'll have to be getting rails." The senator despairingly steps out, picking gingerly for some firm foothold. Down goes 1 foot in immeasurable depth. He tries to look up, loses his balance, and tumbles over into the mud, and is fished out in a very despairing condition by Cudjoe. But we forbear out of sympathy to our readers' bones. Western travelers who have beguiled the midnight hour in the interesting process of pulling down rail fences to pry their carriages out of mud holes will have a respectful and mournful sympathy with our unfortunate hero. We beg them to drop a silent tear and pass on. It was full late in the night when the carriage emerged, dripping and bespattered, out of the creek and stood at the door of a large farmhouse. It took no inconsiderable perseverance to arouse the inmates, but at last the respectable proprietor appeared and undid the door. He was a great, tall, bristling Orson of a fellow, full 6 feet and some inches in his stockings, and arrayed in a red flannel hunting shirt. A very heavy mat of sandy hair in a decidedly tousled condition, and a beard of some days' growth, gave the worthy man an appearance, to say the least, not particularly prepossessing. He stood for a few minutes holding the candle aloft and blinking on our travelers with a dismal and mystified expression that was truly ludicrous. It cost some effort of our senator to induce him to comprehend the case fully, and while he is doing his best at that, we shall give him a little introduction to our readers. Honest old John Van Tromp was one quite a considerable landowner and slave owner in the state of Kentucky, having nothing of the bear about him but the skin, and being gifted by nature with a great, honest, just heart, quite equal to his gigantic frame. He had been for some years witnessing with repressed uneasiness the workings of a system equally bad for oppressor and oppressed. At last, one day, John's great heart had swelled altogether too big to wear his bonds any longer. So he just took his pocketbook out of his desk and went over into Ohio and bought a quarter of a township of good, rich land, made out free papers for all his people, men, women, and children, packed them up in wagons, and sent them off to settle down. And then honest John turned his face up the creek and sat quietly down on a snug, retired farm to enjoy his conscience and his reflections. "Are you the man that will shelter a poor woman and child from slave catchers?" said the senator explicitly. "I rather think I am," said honest John, with some considerable emphasis. "I thought so," said the senator. "If there's anybody comes," said the good man, stretching his tall, muscular form upward, "why, here I'm ready for him, and I've got 7 sons, each 6 foot high, and they'll be ready for him. Give our respects to 'em," said John. "Tell 'em it's no matter how soon they call. Make no kinder difference to us," said John, running his fingers through the shock of hair that thatched his head and bursting out into a great laugh. Weary, jaded, and spiritless, Eliza dragged herself up to the door with her child lying in a heavy sleep on her arm. The rough man held the candle to her face, and uttering a kind of compassionate grunt, opened the door of a small bedroom adjoining to the large kitchen where they were standing, and motioned her to go in. He took down a candle and, lighting it, set it upon the table, and then addressed himself to Eliza. "Now, I say, gal, you needn't be a bit afeard. Let who will come here. I'm up to all that sort of thing," he said, pointing to 2 or 3 goodly rifles over the mantelpiece.
So basically, he said he with the
Most
shits.
people that know me know that 'twouldn't be healthy to try to get anybody out of my house when I'm agin it. So now you just go to sleep now, as quiet as if your mother was a-rocking you," said he, as he shut the door. "Why, this is an uncommon handsome one," said he to the senator.
Basically, he said he with all of that
the
shit.
greatest cause to run sometimes, if they has any kind of feeling, such as decent women should. I know all about that. The
A lot of
senator, in a
shits.
few words, briefly explained Eliza's history. Now I want to know," said the good man pitifully. "Sho, now sho. That's nature now, poor critter. Hunted down now like a deer. Hunted down just for having natural feelings and doing what no kind of mother could help a doing. I tell you what, these here things make me come the nighest to swearing now almost anything," said honest John as he wiped his eyes with the back of a great freckled yellow hand. "I tell you what, stranger, it was years and years before I jined the church, 'cause the ministers round in our parts used to preach that the Bible went in for these here cuttings up, and I couldn't be up to 'em with their Greek and Hebrew, and so I took up again 'em, Bible and all. I never jined the church till I found a minister that was up to 'em, all in Greek and all that, and he said right the contrary. And then I took right hold and jined the church. I did now. Fact," said John, who had been all this time uncorking some very frisky bottled cider, which at this juncture he presented. He'd better just put up here now till daylight, said he heartily, and I'll call up the old woman and have a bed got ready for you in no time. Thank you, my good friend, said the senator. I must be along to take the night stage for Columbus. Ah, well then, if you must, I'll go a piece with you and show you a crossroad that will take you there better than the road you came on. That road's mighty bad. John equipped himself, and with a lantern in hand, was soon seen guiding the senator's carriage towards a road that ran down in a hollow back of his dwelling. When they parted, the senator put into his hand a $10 bill. It's for her, he said briefly. Aye, said John with equal conciseness. They shook hands and parted. End of chapter 9. Chapter 10. The property is carried off. The February morning looked gray and drizzling through the window of Uncle Tom's cabin. It looked on downcast faces, the images of mournful hearts. The little table stood out before the fire, covered with an ironing cloth. A coarse but clean shirt or two, fresh from the iron, hung on the back of a chair by the fire, and Aunt Chloe had another spread out before her on the table. Carefully she rubbed and ironed every fold and every hem with the most scrupulous exactness, every now and then raising her hand to her face to wipe off the tears that were coursing down her cheeks. Tom sat by, with his Testament open on his knee and his head leaning upon his hand, but neither spoke. It was yet early, and the children lay all asleep together in their little rude trundle bed. Tom, who had to the full the gentle domestic heart, which woe for them has been a peculiar characteristic of his unhappy race, got up and walked silently to look at his children. It's the last time, he said. Aunt Chloe did not answer, only rubbed away over and over on the coarse shirt, already as smooth as hands could make it, and finally, setting her iron suddenly down with a despairing plunge, she sat down to the table and lifted up her voice and wept. Suppose we must be resigned, but Lord, how can I? If I'd known anything where you're going, or how they'd sarve you, Mrs. says she'll try and beam you in a year or two. But Lord, nobody never comes up that goes down there. They kills them. I've heard them tell how they works them up on them our plantations. There'll be the same God there, Cleo, that there is here. Well, said Aunt Cleo, suppose there will. But the Lord lets dreadful things happen sometimes. I don't seem to get no comfort that way. I'm in the Lord's hands, said Tom. Nothing can go no further than he lets it. And there's one thing I can thank him for. It's me that's sold and going down, and not you nor the children. Here you're safe. What comes will come only on me, and the Lord, he'll help me. I know he will. Ah, brave manly heart, smothering thine own sorrow to comfort thy beloved ones. Tom spoke with a thick utterance and with a bitter choking in his throat, but he spoke brave and strong. Let's think on our Marcies, he said tremulously, as if he was quite sure he needed to think on them very hard indeed. Marcies, said Aunt Chloe. Don't see no Marcy. T'ain't right. T'ain't right it should be so. Master never ought to left it so that he could be took for his debts. You've earned him all he gets for you twice over. He owed you your freedom and ought to get to you years ago. Maybe he can't help himself now, but I feel it's wrong. Nothing can't be done out of me. Such a faithful critter as you've been, and allers sought his business for your own every way, and reckoned on him more than your own wife and children. Them as sells heart's love and heart's blood to get out their scrapes. The Lord be up to 'em. Chloe, now, if you love me, you won't talk so, when perhaps just the last time we'll ever have together. And I'll tell you, Chloe, it goes agin me to hear one word agin Massey. Want he put in my arms a baby? It's nature I should think a heap of him, and he couldn't be expected to think so much of poor Tom. Masses used to having all days year things done for him, and naturally they don't think so much on't. They can't be expected to, no way. Set up alongside of other masses, who's had the treatment and living I've had? And he never would have let this yar come on me if he could have seen it aforehand. I know he wouldn't. Well, anyway, there's wrong about somewhere, said Chloe. in whom a stubborn sense of justice was a predominant trait. I can't just make out where 'tis, but there's wrong somewhere. I'm clear on that. You ought to look up to the Lord above. He's above all. I don't a sparrow fall without him. Don't seem to comfort me, but I 'spect it orter, said Aunt Chloe. But there's no use talking. I'll just wet up the corn cake and get you one good breakfast, 'cause nobody knows when you'll get another. In order to appreciate the sufferings of the Negroes sold south, it must be remembered that all the instinctive affections of that race are peculiarly strong. Their local attachments are very abiding. They are not naturally daring and enterprising, but home-loving and affectionate. Add to this all the terrors with which ignorance invests the unknown, and add to this, again, that selling to the South is set before the Negro from childhood as the last severity of punishment. The threat that terrifies more than whipping or torture of any kind is the threat of being sent downriver. We have ourselves heard this feeling expressed by them and seen the unaffected horror with which they will sit in their gossiping hours and tell frightful stories of that downriver, which to them is that undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns. Note, a slightly inaccurate quotation from Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1, lines 369 to 370. A missionary figure among the fugitives in Canada told us that many of the fugitives confessed themselves to have escaped from comparatively kind masters, and that they were induced to brave the perils of escape in almost every case by the desperate horror with which they regarded being sold south, a doom which was hanging either over themselves or their husbands, their wives, or children.
I have 26 more to go.
Naturally patient, timid, and unenterprising.
And then I still have to do coloring.
And leads him to suffer hunger, cold, pain, the perils of the wilderness, and the more dread penalties of recapture.
Step
The
outside
simple
and
morning meal
I
now smoked on the table, for Mrs. Shelby had excused Aunt Chloe's attendance at the great house that morning. The poor soul had expended all her little energies on this farewell feast, had killed and dressed her choicest chicken, and prepared her corn cake with scrupulous exactness, just to her husband's taste, and brought out certain mysterious jars on the mantelpiece, some preserves that were never produced except on extreme occasions. "Lord, Pete," said Mose triumphantly, "hadn't we got a buster of a breakfast?" at the same time catching at a fragment of the chicken. Aunt Chloe gave him a sudden box on the ear. "There now, crowing over the last breakfast your poor daddy's going to have to home." "Oh, Chloe," said Tom gently. "Well, I can't help it," said Aunt Chloe, hiding her face in her apron. "I'm so tossed about it, it makes me act ugly." The boys stood quite still, looking first at their father and then at their mother, while the baby, climbing up her clothes, began nipping her eyes and taking up the baby. "Now I've done, I hope. Now do eat something. This here's my nicest chicken. There, boys, you shall have some, poor critters. Your mammy's been cross to you." The boys needed no second invitation and went in with great zeal for the eatables. And it was well they did so, as otherwise there would have been very little performed to any purpose by the party. "Now," said Aunt Chloe, bustling about after breakfast, "I must put up the clothes. Just like as not, he'll take 'em all away. I know their ways, mean, sturt they is. Well, now, your flannels for rheumatiz is in this corner, so be careful, 'cause there won't nobody make you no more. Then here's your old shirts, and these yar's new ones. I towed off these your stockings last night, and put the ball in them to mend with, but Lord, who'll ever mend for you?" And Aunt Chloe, again overcome, laid her head on the box side and sobbed. "To think on it, no critter to do for you, sick or well. I don't really think I ought to be good now." The boys, having eaten everything there was on the breakfast table, began now to take some thought of the case, and seeing their mother crying and their father looking very sad, began to whimper and put their hand to their eyes. Uncle Tom had the baby on his knee and was letting her enjoy herself to the utmost extent, scratching his face and pulling his hair, and occasionally breaking out into clamorous explosions of delight, evidently arising out of her own internal reflections. "Ah, crow away, poor critter," said Aunt Chloe. "You'll have to come to it, too. You'll live to see your husband sold, or maybe be sold yourself.
I don't really like how
And
these came
here
out, but
boys,
they're
they
okay.
used to be sold, I suppose,
I gotta
too,
get me a
just like
sticker
as
maker.
not. When they gets good for something, ain't no use in niggas having nothing." Here one of the boys called out,
This one here
"That's
is
Mrs. coming
AI.
in. She can't do no good. What's she coming for?" said Aunt Chloe. Mrs. Shelby entered. Aunt Chloe set a chair for her in a manner decidedly gruff and crusty. She did not seem to notice either the action or the manner. She looked pale and anxious. "Tom," she said, "I come to—" Stopping suddenly and regarding the silent group, she sat down in the chair and, covering her face with her handkerchief, began to sob. "Lord, now, Mrs. Don't, said Aunt Chloe, bursting out in her turn, and for a few moments they all wept in company. And in those tears they all shed together, the high and the lowly, melted away all the heart-burnings and anger of the oppressed. O ye who visit the distressed, do ye know that everything your money can buy, given with a cold, averted face, is not worth one honest tear shed in real sympathy? My good fellow, said Mrs. Shelby, I can't give you anything to do you any good. If I give you money, it will only be taken from you. But I tell you solemnly and before God that I will keep trace of you and bring you back as soon as I can command the money. Until then, trust in God. Here the boys called out that Massa Haley was coming, and then an unceremonious kick pushed open the door. Haley stood there in very ill humor, having ridden hard the night before, and being not at all pacified by his ill success in recapturing his prey. Come, said he. You nigger, you're ready? Servant, ma'am, said he, taking off his hat as he saw Mrs. Shelby. Aunt Chloe shut and corded the box, and getting up, looked gruffly on the trader, her tears seeming suddenly.
They say
turned
nigger
sparkling
and
fire.
like and
Tom rose
for
up quickly to
unnecessary
follow
reasons.
Sylvester and raised
To
up
just
his
say
heavy
nigger,
box
like
on his
isn't that
shoulder.
supposed to be a
His wife took
derogatory
the baby
word?
in her
So
arms
why
to go
just call
with him to
somebody
the
nigger
wagon,
like that?
And the children, still crying, trailed
You ready,
on
nigger?
behind.
Like, what is the point
Mrs.
of that?
Shelby,
Just call him by his
walking up
name,
to the
stupid
trader,
bitch.
detained him for a few moments, talking with him in an earnest manner. And while she was thus talking, the whole family party proceeded to a
What is
wagon
the point of that?
stood ready harnessed at the door. A crowd of all the old and young hands on the place stood gathered around it to bid farewell to their old associate. Tom had been looked up to, both as a head servant and a Christian teacher, by all the place, and there was much honest sympathy and grief about him, particularly among the women.
Just call niggers for no
Why,
reason.
Chloe, you buy
Right,
better
I
than we do, said one of the women who had been weeping freely, noticing the gloomy calmness with which
Nigger,
Aunt Chloe stood by the wagon.
nigger.
I's done my tears, she said, looking grimly at the trader who was coming
Ain't
up.
that
I does
nothing?
not feel to cry for that our old
That's
limb,
crazy.
nohow. Get in, said Haley to Tom, as he strode through the crowd of servants who looked at him with lowering brows. Tom got in, and Haley, drawing out from under the wagon seat a heavy pair of shackles, made them fast around each
Nigger.
ankle. A smothered groan of indignation ran through the whole circle, and Mrs. Shelby spoke from the veranda. Mr. Haley, I assure you that precaution is entirely unnecessary. Don't know, ma'am. I lost $500 from this yar place. I can't afford to run no more risks. What else
Now,
could
here
she
they are. This
expect
is what I
of
was
me?
looking for.
Said Aunt Chloe indignantly, while the two boys, who now seemed to comprehend at once their father's destiny, clung to her gown, sobbing and growing vehemently. I'm sorry, said Tom, that Master George happened to be away. George had gone to spend 2 or 3 days with a companion on a neighboring estate, and having departed early in the morning before Tom's misfortune had been made public, had left without hearing of it. Give my love to Master George, he said earnestly. Haley whipped up the horse, and with a steady, mournful look, fixed to the last on the old place, Tom was whirled away. Mr. Shelby at this time was not at home, and sold Tom under the spur of a driving necessity to get out of the power of a man whom he dreaded, and his first feeling after the consummation of the bargain had been that of relief, but his wife's expostulations awoke his half-slumbering regrets, and Tom's manly disinterestedness increased the unpleasantness of his feelings. It was in vain that he said to himself that he had a right to do it, that everybody did it, and that some did it without even the excuse of necessity. He could not satisfy his own feelings, and that he might not witness the unpleasant scenes of the consummation, he had gone on a short business tour up the country, hoping that all would be over before he returned. Tom and Haley rattled on along the dusty road, whirling past every old familiar spot until the bounds of the estate were fairly passed, and they found themselves out on the open pike. After they had ridden about a mile, Haley suddenly drew up at the door of a blacksmith's shop, when, taking out with him a pair of handcuffs, he stepped into the shop to have a little alteration in them. "These here is a little too small for his build," said Haley, showing the fetters and pointing out to Tom. "Lord, now, if thar ain't Shelby's Tom, he hadn't sold him now," said the smith. "Yes, he has," said Haley. "Now you don't." "Well, really," said the smith. "Who'd have thought it? Why, you needn't go to fetterin' him up this yar way. He's the faithfulest, best critter." "Yes, yes. Your good fellers are just the critter to want to run off. Them stupid ones as don't care where they go, and shiftless drunken ones as don't care for nothing, they'll stick by, and like as not be rather pleased to be toted around. But these yar prime fellers, they hates it like sin. No way but to fetter 'em. Got legs? They'll use 'em, no mistake." "Well," said the smith, feeling among his tools, "them plantations down thar, stranger, ain't just the place a Kentuck nigger wants to go to. They dies thar tolerable fast, don't they?" "Well, yes, tolerable fast, their dying is. What with the climatin' and one thing another, and they dies so as to keep the market up pretty brisk," said Haley. "Well, a feller can't help thinking it's a mighty pity to have a nice, quiet, likely feller, as good as him as Tom is, go down to be fairly ground up on one of them thar sugar plantations. Well, he's got a far chance. I promised to do well by him. I'll get him in house servant in some good old family, and then, if he stands the fever and climatin', he'll have a berth good as any nigger ought to ask for. He leaves his wife and children up there, suppose?" "Yes, he'll get another, Lord, thar's women enough everywhere," said Haley. Tom was sitting very mournfully on the outside of the shop while this conversation was going on. Suddenly he heard the quick, short click of a horse's hoof behind him, and before he could fairly wake from his surprise, young Master George sprang into the wagon, threw his arms tumultuously round his neck, and was sobbing and scolding with energy. "I declare it's real mean. I don't care what they say, any of them. It's a nasty, mean shame. If I was a man, they shouldn't do it. They should not so," said George with a kind of subdued howl. "Oh, Master George, this does me good," said Tom. "I couldn't bear to go off
I'm
without
thinking
seeing
about
it.
doing some press-on nails as gifts too, for those who want them. Like for the holidays, I'll just give away the press-ons that I do predominantly in practice. I'll give some away. Even when your husband dead, she'll be by your side. See which box do I like better. I'm gonna just get some different stickers made, but I need these stickers to be bigger, much bigger. Like I need them to be. I'm gonna have to. What is this, 5x7? I'm gonna need them to be like this big, because this is too small. Or at least let me see, a little bigger, like cup size, like a cup size. I need to order some. And then I'm about to make some more bracelets. She still be here. This bracelet says love heals. She'll be by your side. I need more bracelets, beads. I love these bracelets. They're so cute. They feel so comfortable. So I'm gonna give away some more of these. I'm gonna make some more and give away some more. And Give away some press-on nails. I'm waiting on another shipment, so I have more nail polishes, and I can do more designs, and I'll give away some press-ons too. Why not? Those who want them, I'll ask first. I'll be back later.